to tell you a little bit about myself, I've been married 14 years, we have 15 years in June, to my husband Sam. Sam was raised in Xenia, in tornado country, right, in Greene County. And he's a public servant. He works as both the Washington Township Finance Administrator in our county and then the school treasurer for Huber Heights Schools. And so, both of us have had a commitment to public service. We believe that, that government can make a difference in people's lives and make a difference in their communities, and investing in public entities is really, really important for the fabric of our communities. As mayor of Dayton, I've had a pretty good number of challenges. It's safe to say when I was elected, Dayton was at a low point. All of our Fortune 500 companies had left town. We actually, when I came in, we had led the nation in accidental overdose deaths to opioids. And so, as mayor, you don't have the luxury of saying that's not my problem, and so you have to face these issues head on. So when we saw, for example, that we were leading in accidental overdose deaths, we brought the community together to figure out a way to really attack addiction like a disease, and really invest in different levels of treatment, not just what the federal government gives you like on 30 days, but really put local funding in to figure out how we could really go after folks that were in the throes of addiction. And we cut accidental overdose deaths in half. And even during COVID, where we've seen 100,000 deaths last year to accidental overdose deaths in the country, it was the highest year ever because COVID has had such an effect on overdose issues. We actually maintained that half level and kept that level, and that's actually even gone down this month. So we keep a real close eye on it, focusing on issues that were really mattering to people and their families. And then when we saw that kids weren't ready for kindergarten in our community, we went and passed high quality universal preschool. So every 4-year-old in Dayton has access to preschool, and it's not just to the school, it's to family owned and operated ones that are in employers. Because that when you're 3 and 4-year-olds, you want to make sure that kids have choices and families have choices. That's a great ringtone, Chairman. I like it. And so making sure that kids have choices and their parents have choices, right? Because these are little ones. And that has made a big difference in Dayton too, right? Particularly during the pandemic, making sure that people didn't have to pay an arm and a leg for childcare like you've seen. And it keeps women in the workforce, frankly. So, which is I think really important, as we've seen 2 million women across the country, really opt out of the workforce. It has a lot to do with childcare. I think everybody knows, they can't, it can't figure out, it can't pencil out. So it's like, well, I'm gonna have to stay home. And it limits their choices. And then that affects our worker shortage too. I think it has a lot to do with childcare. And as we've been doing that in Dayton and really turning our city around, we've seen thousands of new jobs, over $1 billion of investment while I was mayor. I look at the State House and see that they don't care about places like Paulding or Dayton at all, right? They only care about this 4 square blocks inside Columbus and what they can do for each other and what kind of things they can get to line their political pockets. And I think we deserve better than that as a state. We're a great state with great workers, and we need to make sure that people's pay goes up, their bills go down, and they have a government that actually works for them. So, what I mean by that is making sure that one good job is enough. We need to raise the wage, not just the minimum wage to $15 an hour, but we need to raise the wage for everybody. We see that people are working, I have examples and friends like this, working 2 and 3 jobs, trying to make ends meet. It's un-Ohioan, it's un-American. No matter what you're doing, you should be paid a decent wage to be able to provide for your family. But also we've got to invest in the new jobs of the future, like renewable energy jobs. We should make that stuff here. This past week I was endorsed by the Ohio Environmental Council. It's the first time they've ever endorsed in a primary because they know we need to fully repeal House Bill 6, and we've got to do this investment because other states like Michigan and Pennsylvania are eating our lunch in renewable energy, right? And those are good paying jobs, and we should be making that stuff right here. And then we also have to invest in small business, right? You can have these really big investments like we've seen at Intel, which is great, I'm happy for them, but it doesn't do anything for folks in Paulding, right? That big investments in Columbus. And if we really invested in small business, and I mean companies that have less than 50 employees, right? The federal government defines small business like 500 and less. Those are big companies to me in Dayton. I'm talking about 50 employees or less. If we invest in those small businesses, we can grow our own in communities all across the state, not just the big cities. And I think that that is something that we really need to do when we're talking about making people's pay go up. But we've got to also lower bills, and that means providing childcare. I think the state could, if Dayton can do it, the state can do it to provide high quality childcare for folks, for everybody. That would really, I think, be transformational for the state. It would show that we do care about families, that Ohio's, like what we believe, a great place to have kids and raise your family, but the state needs to be investing in that more if we're really serious about that. And then it also helps, women, again, get into the workforce, really help with our worker shortage in places as well, but it keeps bills down. We also need to make sure that we're paying attention to utility costs, right? Right now we've seen a 45% increase this winter over compressed natural gas costs. I don't know about you, I heat my house with CNG, and I've had an extraordinarily bigger uptick, and I think 65% of Ohioans heat their house with compressed natural gas, and they've seen that 45% increase. So you see this increase in all these bills for folks. The state, instead of getting bought off by these folks, should be paying attention to everyday families about what that cost is. So we got to get bills down. But to do all that, we've got to have a government that's actually working for us. And I hope you all have heard about House Bill 6. Yes, it is the largest bribery scandal in Ohio history. The First Energy, a utility company, paid to get Mike DeWine elected, and in return they got everything they wanted. They got a bailout of $1 billion, and they got to pick who the head utility regulator was, which was their top lobbyist. First Energy has admitted to the federal government that they bribed that lobbyist with $4 million in money, as well as the $61 million they've bribed Republican elected officials. And DeWine was complicit and in on this deal. He knows that they funded him, and so in return he's given them everything they want on our backs. It is just the latest example of just the abject corruption that's at the State House. And don't take my word for it, the FBI has said they are the most corrupt State House in the country, right? Which, if you think about what we see in Texas or in, but it takes some work to get that that austere badge, right? So we need a complete and total overhaul. If we're really going to have a government and a governor that's working for us, we've got to clean it up. And so the first thing I did when I announced way back in April was we put together our Public Accountability Commission. We talked about our anti-corruption plan, getting rid of the money that we don't know who's paying for, having transparency in who's paying for the politics, making sure that we have this Public Accountability Commission so the politicians just aren't policing themselves, and then also making sure that the Inspector General and the Ethics Commission have the funding they need to do their job to root out corruption. The other thing that's key too is right now they work for the government and regulate corporations, and then they get out of that job and get a revolving door into the corporation and make hundreds of thousands of dollars because of the regulations they did for that certain job sector. And we got to stop that revolving door too. So if we make those changes, then the state can really get to the point of really investing in our communities, investing in our families. And that's what we're trying to do in this race, is really say, hey, we deserve better. There's a better way forward. We need to do something completely different. This isn't okay how government is working at the State House, and enough is enough. And I think the message has really been resonating. As I mentioned, we've been endorsed by about 180 elected officials across the state, including Senator Sherrod Brown, and he normally doesn't get engaged in primaries. I'm really proud to have his support. He is, I think his message about the dignity of work and what our communities need is exactly the right message and actions that we need for our state. And as I mentioned, we're now at county number 67 here. We're committed to seeing all 88 counties. So sometimes we get to see you twice up here, which I'm super grateful for. And we're really excited about the race. We think that this could be a really special year in Ohio. I think people are frustrated and angry about being ignored and forgotten. And they know that they're not getting their fair share by a government that basically is all about themselves instead of about our communities. So with that, I'll take you guys, any questions you have or any thoughts today.
I'm surprised that Sherrod endorsed you because he wanted you for state chairman.
Well, Sherrod is my mentor, one of my mentors. I don't know if you all know that. And he and Connie have been just dear advisors to me, and I really, really respect how he stands on issues and fights for Ohio. And I think his core center is something that I think my core center is the same, and so I think that's that's why he decided to support me.
Redistricting.
Yes. Oh well. Yes. We don't know much about that, do we? So I don't know. Did you guys watch the video? Did you see how condescending they were to State Representative Russo? I mean, I think she's doing a terrific job, fighting for us, and I'm really grateful for her leadership. I don't know if you saw this. So, the Redistricting Commission was supposed to meet Thursday. It was their deadline for the third round of maps. They wouldn't meet. Mike DeWine went to the Bengals Super Bowl instead of meeting. So they finally met. Oh, thank you, Chet. They finally met Thursday, 6 hours before they were supposed to do the maps. And State Rep Russo and Senator Sykes are the Democrats, and then the Republicans are Keith Faber, Mike DeWine, Frank LaRose, Matt Huffman, and Bob Cupp, right? And now, I would point out that Representative Russo would be the only woman there. And if you ladies want to watch it, the condescension of being mansplained that these guys gave Rep Russo. And she, you could tell, as one of my friends said, you could tell she had been mansplained to a lot because she just nailed it. She was really strong and really smart. And we've offered maps that are constitutional. The Democrats have, other groups, Legal Women Voters have. They just will not take them. And actually said in the hearing that they couldn't do that because they would pit Republicans against Republicans. To which Rep Russo responded, that's not a constitutional problem. That's like a party problem, right? So they have completely shown that their interest isn't about doing what the 72% of Ohio voters said to protect the Constitution. They're interested in protecting their own political interests again and again, right? And they don't think anybody cares, and they think they're going to completely get away with this. And they could actually be held in contempt of court by the Supreme Court now because they gave no maps last week. The other key part of this hearing, the governor and his leadership skills did not say a single word during the entire hearing. Not a single word. So, that's just the cowardice we see at the State House, the self-interest and self-dealing. We don't know when the primary is going to be now, because we can't really have a primary if we don't have state legislative maps. And so we're just kind of out here evangelizing about our message, really trying to talk about hey, people deserve better. They deserve to know who's running for state legislature. They deserve to know when the primary is going to be. They deserve to have, a government that actually works for them in these communities. And it is just so clear that these guys, and they're mostly guys, don't give a hoot about us. Okay, so that's what's going on there.
A couple weeks ago, I paid a loan off on a lawnmower that I bought. At the bottom of the paperwork on there, it was a $12 charge going to Secretary of State Frank LaRose. But anyways, I don't know when they started that, but that's just another one of the things of them cutting the taxes on the rich.
Yep.
And backdooring us to make up for it.
That's exactly right.
Half the recorder's fee goes to the state of Ohio.
But it said right on that loan case that it went to the Secretary of State.
Right. And half the money when you go to the landfill goes to the state of Ohio. Your county gets less than the state does at the landfill.
Well,
I gotta get going. I got nothing to do.
bye, Charlie. Good to see you. Thanks for your support.
I'm also on the state central committee.
Good luck. Well, we don't know what district, but good luck.
First district, but we don't know.
We don't know the lines.
Lines, yes.
Right, I got you.
But the fines will be right in the center of it. So.
Okay, good. Well, good luck, Charlie. Thank you. Thanks. Good to see you.
Yep.
You need to take care of your family, to tax those things, because it is so driven down to the poor, right? And the working poor, right?
Buy something off eBay, it's all taxed. And they've got us every way that they could get us.
And they've cut the taxes for the wealthy in return, right? That's my issue with them.
I actually have 3 children that are in their 20s. So when you speak of the wealth and equity, it really does hit me because my daughter actually manages this place.
Oh, does she?
So, and she just got a promotion, and before she got her promotion, the $7,000 raise meant a lot to
A ton,
her.
right?
And she doesn't have any kids yet, but just as a single woman trying to make it on her own, if she wouldn't have got that raise, she would have been like, Mom, she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like, well, thank God you live in my rental,
right?
Where I can, but there's other people out there that are not that fortunate.
They don't have the support of the family. No.
Yeah. So, that is a big addressed issue, especially for your age group, that, people my age group, thank God I have a pension. You know, they don't have that. And it's like we need to get back to the times where employers took care of their employees. And people don't see that. It's all about how much money can the corporations make and keep. But we're not worried about our employees. We're not going to worry about trying to keep them because we can always replace them.
Right.
Well, they're coming to find out they can't.
No, that's right too. And I think, look,
I think it's amazing.
I do too. I like workers having more power in the power of in the balance equation, right? I think that, you know, Striketober was a great example of that, right? That people were like, no, we're not going to take this anymore. But you know, they shouldn't have to do that. You know, government can play a role in that in making corporations pay their fair share. And that's all we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're just talking about fair share, making the wealthy pay their fair share. And what we've seen at the state, and it's been 20 years of policy, it started when John Husted was Speaker of the House. And look, if it worked, I wouldn't be running for governor, right? They said, oh, we're going to cut taxes on the wealthy, and then it'll bring everybody here, and all of our communities will thrive, and we'll have less services, but it'll be all good here. And that is not what has happened. Over those decades, Ohio has gone to the bottom of good lists and the top of bad ones. And, you know, their friends have gotten wealthy, and they've patted John and Mike on the back to get that done. But our communities are the ones that are suffering, and the people of Ohio are the ones that are suffering. And that's all on our backs, like I said. So that's what this race is about. You know, it's about clearing out the corruption, making sure we're paying attention to families and workers in small communities and big cities alike, and not just investing in one metro region. Because, you know, it's like if you're not in the Columbus metro region, you don't exist in this state. And that's not okay. And as somebody coming from Dayton, like, I feel that very, very powerfully, right? So, and you know, you make a great point. Like, here's your daughter, she's single, and she still can't, with her wage, can't figure it out because
Or just, you know, just to be able to live a life that is, I don't want to, what's the word I'm looking for? Just to be able to live.
Right.
You
Not
know,
have to like.
Not have to just go
Not
to work
just
and go
exist.
home.
Right. Yeah. No. Agreed. Well, good for her on getting a promotion, but yeah, that's what this is about.
After we met you in Defiance County, we went to the next Democratic meeting that we had, and we told the people that were there, told them how you were, where you came from, and what you stood for and everything like that. And that's why Paulding County's Democratic Party endorsed you.
I heard. I'm so honored. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Now you gotta win.
Yeah, I do. Well, look, so this is the plan, right? We're gonna visit. I'm really honored to have your all's endorsement. It was really exciting to us, right, Chad? We're super excited. We have a real chance in this race, right? We recognize that we can't do the same thing over and over again in Ohio as Democrats and expect a different result. That would be the definition of insanity. So we don't want to be insane Democrats, right? We want to be smart ones. And look, we're a different kind of campaign, right? I'm a different kind of candidate, right? I come from Dayton. I don't come from one of the big cities. Obviously, I don't know if you've noticed, I'm a woman. We've never run a woman for governor. We think there's a big opportunity. If you look at the state and how the state's performing, we actually are underperforming with women compared to our friends in Michigan. And they run women. They run strong, tough women. And that's what we need to do in Ohio too. And so we think that that's really, really important to talk to folks in a different kind of way and get to the meat of what's going on. And look, I think most people have said this to me, and I think you guys, some of you have met me before. I don't mince words about things. I'm not into hyperbole. I'll just tell you like it is, right? And I think most Ohioans appreciate that, and that's how we're gonna talk. That's how we're gonna run. That's how we're gonna get stuff done. It's worked for me in state, and I'm proud to be that way. That's the only way it can work for me.
You need a model? Look at 1982 when Dick Celeste ran for governor.
Right.
We got him elected.
Mm-hmm.
And again in '86, we got him elected.
Exactly.
So you can get elected.
Yeah, we can do it. And look, they're a mess, right? The Republicans have this corruption scandal. The only time we really, like Celeste, we win on, when they are so corrupt, they need somebody to clean it up. They bring the Democrats in to do that. And then the big primaries that they're having are just enormous. And I mean, I'm sure you're up here. They love Joe Blystone. And, they love those guys more than they love Mike DeWine. So they're regular Republican voters. So there's definitely some opportunity for us with that.
Back in 1982, when Jim Rhodes left office, they buried over 3 tons of state records in a landfill down in southeastern Ohio. It's similar to what's happening in Washington and Mara Lardass right now. We don't know what they did because they're covering it up.
Yeah.
And Dick Celeste came in, I remember the 90% tax increase that all Republicans hollered at, but they never told people that 67% of it was on a temporary tax, the way it was, and he just added another 23% and made it permanent to pay our bills off and give us the state where it was solvent again to be able to function. And we did good in the 80s, considering how bad recessions were and stuff. I worked at GM. I was laid off for a year and 2 months in the 80s, so I know what happened, you know. And things did get better. It wasn't because of Ronald Reagan, I'll guarantee you that. But our state, we had a good Democratic House and Senate, and they did the right things. They increased the unemployment by several 13-week extensions to keep people solvent, so they wasn't going to court, filing bankruptcy and all this other stuff. And if you look at what's happened now, if we crash right now, if things go bad, there's no unemployment. They took the 26 weeks out. There's a maximum of 13 weeks right now.
That and the way that they ran it in Ohio, they gave all the money away to people who didn't deserve it, and anybody that needed it couldn't get it, you know? It was terrible. I don't know if it was incompetence or on purpose. I'm not sure.
Yes.
But either way, it was bad for Ohioans.
Yes.
Yeah, either way, it was bad for us. I mean, that's just an example. They're not interested in governing. They're interested in taking care of their friends. And that's just gotta stop.
It's not the people, it's the corporations.
That's right. Well, I really appreciate your all support, and it's good to see you guys.